Hello everybody, it's been a while since I posted a video. I've been busy with work. Everyone knows how that goes. Oh man, I need to get a point down here. Kevin's gonna crop me off. Well, at any rate, so I ordered these not too long ago. They're, I need to clean up my workstation. Apologize for the kind of Nintendo graveyard, I guess, the theme of today's video, but yeah, these are replacement Joycon shells. And the best part is, they are actually OEM Joycon shells. Woohoo. I got these from a particular Alibaba dealer that I'm not going to link because I'm pretty sure these are gray market. So let's not encourage that. But the idea is that we're going to take the gray shells off of our Joy-Cons and they're going to be red. It's going to be great. Now, if you've never actually worked on a Nintendo product before, then they use proprietary tri-wing screw bits, which is kind of unfortunate, but that's easy enough to get around because that does happen to be the same size that Apple uses in the new phones. So if you have a 000 tri-wing, then you're fine. I actually haven't ever taken these apart before, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take them apart, I'm going to replace the shells, and then while I'm in there, I think I'm going to do the wire soldering, or soldering if you're British. I'm going to solder the new wire in there to fix the Bluetooth issues. So let's see if you guys can actually see that. So you can kind of see the tri-wing bit pretty good right about there. So like I said, it's just standard. If you've taken apart an iPhone 7 before, then you've already got the screws on hand, or the screwdrivers rather. And you can order all kinds of different colors. You can get the Splatoon colors. I picked up the neon set because that's the set that I wanted and was never actually able to get them because, you know, supply issues. Thank you, Nintendo. So here we go. It should just... Okay, is there like a clip or something, or is it just in there good? No, I think it's just in there good. No, there's a clip there. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So then... Okay. So those are actually connected via a ribbon cable, so be careful that you don't rip those, because those are a pain in the ass. And you definitely don't want to have to buy a new $70 Joy-Con set, because you fucked yours up. So this is going to be a little more hands-on than I thought it was. Oh, jeez. Okay, so let's get to disassembling. So it almost looks like there's like this middle gray piece. I don't think I got that in my... No, I didn't. I just got the shell. So it looks like this top part, and probably like these buttons, the SL and SR buttons are still going to be gray, which is unfortunate, but that's okay. So it looks like this is actually screwed in. Looks like I can see a screw. I can see a screw there, and I can see a screw here. This just popped off like it was adhesed. So is this thing just clipped in, or? Ah, there are multiple screws under the battery here. I was expecting that battery to be way more screwed in. Alright, so let's note the pattern. Okay, so silver screw, gold screw, silver screw. Just kidding, gold screw. Except I forgot that it's diagonal. Silver screw. Whoa, okay, that was almost bad. Alright. So there's our mid-frame. We should probably look around and see here. I can probably find replacement mid-frames for that, no problem. And then there's this board, and there's this board, and then there's the buttons here. And then the triggers. The triggers are actually micro switches. Okay, I thought that I couldn't figure it out because they felt so weird. So they're weird micro switches, but they are indeed micro switches. Same thing with the actual trigger, if you can kind of see it. I don't know if I can get this angled right to where you can. There it goes. It's in there. Huh. Anyway. So let's see. So what else is the board screw? Because I got to take this out for the analog stick. I got to take that out for the shoulder thing, and that out for the plus. And I think we're okay. You know, realistically, I could probably just take this out and then... Yeah, here comes the PCB. Oh no, it's... Oh, yeah, there it goes. There we go. Cool. So I could, if they fit, I wonder if the DS buttons fit, because that would be hysterically awesome. So let's get our blue shell. Oh, they have ridges in them. So I probably could hollow out the plastic and make it work, but... Okay, slight angle change. Totally wasn't because I accidentally bumped my camera. I don't know what you're talking about. So the important thing to note is that with the rubber, there are little grooves that actually fit into the shell. So you know when you're putting it in the right way. So there you go, just like that. All right, so that's done. So then set in the button, put on the rubber. Always put a rubber on, kids. Yeah, unfortunately, you could actually make these the 3DS buttons work, but they have. Oh, come on, camera focus. There we go. So they have. See the little notch on it, kind of in the upper left-hand corner. There's 2 of them on the 3DS buttons. Come on, focus. There we go. So there's 2 of them here on the button, and the Switch uses 3. So you can probably just cut a little notch out if you wanted to be a little creative with your buttons, which would be kind of fun, because then I would have these blue buttons on the red shell. But yeah, maybe one day, not today. So next we're gonna do the joystick here. So 2 screws, and it just comes right out. Ta-da! It looks like there's a little sticker pad in here. I'm guessing it's to just kind of brace it so there's no rubbing directly against plastic. Probably dampen sound or something. Just like that, nice and simple. Pretty easy. So we've got 2 screws here. We got 2 screws here for the shoulder button, and then this one here for the select button. So let's do those next. These are actually pretty intricate controllers. Like I knew that they were pretty well built, but like I didn't realize there'd be so many small parts. Because Nintendo kind of has a habit of just throwing everything on one PCB and calling it a day. And we are officially done with our gray Joycon shell. So I'm gonna keep this around just in case, you never know. Begin with reassembly. So once again, there are notches on the button and on the actual shell, so you'll know when it's lined up properly. I probably should have done the buttons last now that I'm thinking about it, because this has kind of been a pain in my ass, keeping the buttons in while I'm doing this. And there we go. Okay, so let's fix my buttons. All right, so everything's back in now. I'm going to do the joystick, the shoulder buttons, and all that fun stuff now. Let's get the annoying one in here first. Okay, so there you go. There's that part. And do the Joy-Con, or the joystick. Just kind of slips on in there. Make sure your ribbon's out of the way. And then that should just slot into place right there. Cool beans, except I kind of fucked up in a little bit of shit. So just be careful whenever you're doing it, because I managed to pull a little bit of the of like that sticker. Managed to pull it up while I was putting in the thing, so just keep an eye out for that. And also do the buttons last. So they're just being a pain in my ass. Okay, so there we go. We're in there good. Joystick still works. That's the important part. And yeah, everything's put in there good. So thankful that their joysticks are just a single assembly now. It's not like the N64 joysticks. Because, oh man, if you accidentally fuck up and pop one of those out, that is a pain in the ass. Alright, so now we're good to where we can put the board in. So let's make sure that our buttons are aligned once more. So a little bit of attention to detail that I noticed. The notches that are in the arrows seem to all be the same. So that way it doesn't matter which way you orient. Like all 4 buttons have the same notches, so it just depends on how you orient it. And then it will just kind of fit in the controller the way you need it to. So there it is going in that position, but it also fits in that position, and it also fits in that position. So you don't have to worry too much about which button goes where, it's just line them up, which is kind of nice. Forward thinking, Nintendo, good job. Side note, you don't really have to be using tweezers for these. I have big old man hands, so it makes my life a little easier. Slip your main PCB in. Remember, it kind of goes under the ribbon there, and then it just right into place. There we go, we're in there good. All right, so then let's reconnect our select button slash shoulder assembly. Ta-da! These things actually fit together surprisingly well. The fit and finish is really nice. Kind of upset that the mid plate's still gray, but whatever. I'll probably have to find replacement ones. Yeah, so that part's still gray, so that's a little disappointing. So it just kind of sits into place there. And then you screw everything down again. So now that we're all put together, everything's good. Just remember your pattern. A silver one goes up here, and then the long gold one goes in the other two corners. And it just goes. Hunky-dory. Peachy keen. But I'm dumb and I didn't plug in my thing. Man, trying to film these videos and repair things at the same time is complicated. Okay, so now that I'm done making dumb mistakes, here's what your circuit board should look like before you start reassembling everything. So this top piece up here plugs into the first flex here. This side piece for the rail plugs into this flex connector on the side. This top mid plate thing for the shoulder button plugs in right here. Analog stick plugs in here. Vibration motor plugs in down here, and battery plugs in right beside it. The only things that really need to be plugged in before you reassemble everything seem to be up here, because I unplugged the battery. One of the first things I did when I started. So once you reach this point and everything's plugged in up here, don't be me and just like make sure that everything's plugged in before you reassemble it. But so this just seems to be the induction coil. Like looking at the way that it's kind of laid out and everything. Yeah, this definitely looks like. So this metal rail right here, this is basically just the connector that tells the switch that it's docked in and also does the charging for the battery and everything. So very important cable. You don't want to fuck that one up. As a side note, if you've never actually worked on a device before, be very careful with these hinged doors. My camera will focus. There we go. So yeah, these hinge doors that kind of snap up, they are very fragile and they're very easy to break. Try to use plastic tools whenever you can to open and close them, or use your nails. I recommend your nails. Sorry that you can't see me here. There we go. It just kind of closes it down and then opens up the same way. But just be very careful with those, because if that door breaks off and you're not proficient at repairs, you're basically fucked. Okay, so let's see if this thing works. Okay, so it is turning on, so everything's good there. So, still connects, everything's fine. And yeah, everything moves around. Can I take a screenshot? Yes, I can. Cool. All right, so then we're good to do the bottom half. All right, so this part actually looks pretty simple. It really only looks like there's just the one screw. And it's a teased. Okay, so that was easy enough. Well, that's the back shell. Ta-da! Easy enough. I probably should have started with the back, huh? So let's just, Alright, so the one screw there. Yep, we're in there good. Wow, that was hard. So let's put the whole thing back together now. And this is going to be the hard part, because I got to get the buttons in there. So something to keep in mind is that there are 2 alignment holes on the top and the bottom, and then there's 2 screw holes in the middle 2 holes. So it should be fairly straightforward. You shouldn't have to force anything. It should just pop into place. It just kind of sits there. Damn. When your screwdriver wants to work, that is. This is a really weird angle. So I can get it on video. But yeah, when it just sets into place, you've got the one alignment peg up here, then you've got the one alignment peg down there, and then the screw hole should just be ready to go. Well, that was easy. And then just don't forget to plug in your power flex and your battery. That would be important too. Now with the battery here, please keep in mind, do not use metal tools, like at all, physically, ever. You really shouldn't even be using plastic pry tools. Just use your finger. This one, I just kind of lined it up and just popped it into place. But the last thing you want to do is to bridge those contacts and then fry your $90 Joycon that you just spent all this time reassembling. That would be unfortunate. So let's put our 4 screws in. Let's flip over to the other side. there we go. It's all back together. Ta-da! Doesn't the blue just look so much cooler in your hand? So yeah, let's switch over to the other one. This one's going to be a little bit more complicated though, because this one does have the Amiibo touch point, and it also has the IR camera at the bottom. So let's see how much more complicated this one's going to be. I'm probably going to cut out a lot of this one, just because it's going to be basically the same as the other one. But we'll see. And I know I had said that I was going to solder a wire in on my left Joy-Con to kind of fix it, but nah. This should kind of went away after a little bit, and plus I use my, because I don't sit in that room anymore, so I don't really notice it where I play anymore. So it's not that big of a deal. So it's pretty much the same thing, it's just the design is mirrored what it looks like. I can see an extra antenna in here, so I'm assuming that's for the NFC. But for the most part, it looks the same. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm either going to super speed or I'm just going to cut around until things get different. And you know, this time I don't even think I'm going to bother with unscrewing that until we're... I don't even think I'm going to bother with unscrewing this time. I'm just going to take the whole assembly. So let's just do that. Look at that. You don't even have to... you don't even have to take that assembly apart. There we go. So this part's done. First things first, let's disconnect the battery here. Yes, let's just pop that battery out. Okay, so this is different. So it doesn't look like there's any screws on this one. It's an antenna for something. Yeah, so it looks like the screws have changed. So there's a screw down here, and then the two screws up here. Probably, like I said, to make room for the Amiibo touch point. Curious how this IR camera is connected. I don't want to pull that up just yet. Okay. Oh, okay, I see it. See that little cable that wraps around? I guarantee you that's for the IR camera. That's clever. So I'm glad I didn't just pull on that, because that would have been bad. It's either, that one's either NFC and that one's the IR camera, but there's these two connectors right here, so I'm willing to bet that's what I'm looking for. So, this is why you don't just go pulling on things willy-nilly. I do like that Nintendo is basically sticking to just like two or three different screw types. There's one on the outside and then two internal screw types. Okay, that's connected pretty good. So I'm gonna have to disconnect. Yeah, these are have to disconnect. Okay. Ta-da, and we're free. So then just be very careful when you're pulling on the flex cable. You don't want to, like I said, you don't want to rip it. So this one looks like this whole thing here is the NFC pad. So I'm probably have to be very careful when transferring that. Okay, and then the joystick comes out much the same way as before. So let's peel that sticker. So make sure that when you're orienting these, I know it's minor. There you go. So something like what I did on the other joystick, where it kind of ripped through and was poking out, will happen. So you want to kind of just make sure it's nice and sealed. There we go. Okay. So let's take all the buttons out. Okay, well that was easy enough. Literally just take a tool and just kind of... Oh wow, that whole thing just popped right off. That was easy enough. And we're done with the gray shell now. Now comes the fun part, reassembly. Part of me kind of wants to do the board here first. So let's stick the IR camera in next. So let's see. So these probably have very specific cutout positions. Now they do. So Y is on the left right there. And then B is on the bottom, because Nintendo's a bunch of savages. Obviously, you can put these in whatever order you want. But that doesn't mean that it's going to electrically change the signal. So just because you put the A plastic button right there doesn't mean that's all of a sudden where A actually is. So I'm sure that electrically we could probably figure out a way to mod the Joy-Con to swap like A and B. I'm sure we could actually do that. That'd be something I'd be interested in doing, but you gotta be fucking kidding me. Okay, so now that I'm done being dumb, put a little rubber cap over it. Awesome. Put home into place. So So yeah, just once again remember that everything has a peg and everything has a guiding hole, so it's going to go in the right way the first time. And these are actually pretty well built, that if you get it in the guiding hole and everything's lined up perfectly, you're not going to get any of those irritating creaks and moans, and like it's going to sit in the plastic properly and everything's just going to be good. But so the top of the house has a little dot on the back, and just make sure you line it up with your rubber. Goes in the little dot, that goes in the groove, and then that goes in your hole. As I knock out my plus button. These buttons are infuriating. Okay, so then it just kind of all sits in. Just kind of all sits in right there. And then we're gonna screw it in, so that way I don't have to worry about the stupid buttons anymore. If this bothers you, you can disconnect it. It doesn't really bother me. You just got the same two connectors as before. Like I said, it doesn't really bother me, so. And here comes the fun part. We're going to reconnect these. You'll probably want to actually connect these flexes before you put the board in, but I like to make things difficult for myself. Okay, so before you screw the board in, you want to make sure that these cables are connected. And the reason why you want to do it before the board is screwed in is because you're not going to have a lot of wiggle room. New strategy, connect everything to the board before you actually put it in the shell. Because then that way you can just slip it right in there. Ta-da! And then you can just slip it right in there. Ta-da! Wow, that was so much easier than trying to mess with it. So now we can put it back in the shell. There we go. Okay, that wasn't too difficult. You just have to not be dumb. So make sure that you logic out your repairs before you just launch into trying to record them on the internet. Usually goes way better. Okay, so now we're gonna do the analog stick. Once again, it's infinitely easier if you plug it in before you actually reassemble everything. Makes your life 30,000 times easier. And once again, be careful of that sticker, because you don't want to accidentally poke the sticker through. So if you kind of look at it from this perspective, you know, just kind of guide it to where it's right smack in the middle, and then you just gently push. Ta-da! Okay, so now we're ready for our middle assembly. Let's just put in the shoulder button, and then we're done. Please remember that these flex cables are incredibly fragile, and they are super, super, super easy to overextend in one direction and rip. So yeah, just go slow, take your time. Ta-da! Now we're all fit back together. So let's just tighten all our screws. So remember, we have 3 screws on the cage assembly. So 2 at the top and 1 down here below. So I bet you what Nintendo did, because of the NFC touch point, that was the reason why this antenna was external, is for the Bluetooth connection. It's weird that they didn't do that for the left one. The left one kind of just seems like an afterthought, because the right one's the one that has all the good stuff. It's got the AR camera, it's got the NFC, it's got a better designed antenna. Like the left one just kind of feels like, nah, we have to do one on the left hand, so we might as well. Just make sure it goes in those little, it'll kind of slot in right here. Slot in before the notches, plop. And then the wire just runs behind in a little groove back here. Okay. So now we're nice and connected. All we need is our battery. Ta-da! We're good! Yay! So now we just need to do the one little bit on the back shell, which is where we just do that one screw, and we're good. We're done. I love how simple this was. Ta-da! Didn't have to disconnect anything, didn't have to reconnect everything, and it's all just perfect. So something I'm noticing is that it seems like these screw holes can sometimes be a little rough, probably because they've just never been used before. Nothing to be alarmed about, nothing super major, just something to be aware of. You might have to kind of screw a little tighter. Just be careful, don't round out your screws. I know it's a tri-wing, so it's kind of hard to round those out, but you should be okay. There you go. There's your new Joy-Con shell. Ta-da! And just like that, everything's fixed. Yeah, you can kind of tell that the shells have been replaced because the middle plastic right there is not the right color, and these buttons are supposed to be the same color, so they're supposed to be red. But that's a minor thing. There is just one more thing that I need to show you when I get home. Alright, so this handy little tool here is the Joy-Con toolkit, as I'm sure you can see. It connects to the Joy-Cons via Bluetooth on your computer, so you can use, I'm using a little USB adapter, but if it's built into your computer, you can use that. In order to pair, you just hold down the sync button on the actual Joy-Con itself until you see it flashing. Then you connect via the Windows Connect dialog, and you enter the pin as 0000, and it connects. So what this tool lets us do is it's going to let us customize our Joy-Cons. So what I'm going to do is first is you always back up your SPI, where it just dumps the flash chip. It takes some time. Bluetooth isn't the fastest thing, and I'm sure dumping the chips isn't exactly the fastest thing either. But what this is going to let you do is it actually lets you kind of tweak the flash memory of your Joy-Con. That enables you to change the colors that the system sees. You can actually change things independently. I mean, you can change buttons or you can change the outer shell. I'm going to use it to actually set the system sees that I have the blue and red Joy-Con shells now, instead of the old gray shells. But you can do custom colors like bright purple and hot pink, all kinds of crazy combinations like that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to come back whenever we're done dumping the SPI here, and then I'll show you how all that works. Alright, so we're done dumping our SPI now, which is basically just the firmware. You know, it's got all the important stuff like your serial number and MAC, and like just a dump of the the firmware of the chip, so that way in case you fuck something up, you can always restore it to a safe state. So see over here, you've got two options. You've got body color and button color. I guess I'm going to keep button color the same. But body color, yeah, in the custom colors tab right here, you've got the retail colors. So this gray is the official gray color. Then you got the official blue, the official red, the official green, pink. I'm sorry, yellow, piss yellow, and then the pink and then the green. I have to set blue. And then, like I said, you can set custom colors. They're very, very, very slightly different depending on the Joy-Cons you have. So I'm going to, I am going to change the button color ever so slightly, just so that way it's quote-unquote official. And you can even see the buttons up here. They did change to blue and all that fun stuff. So we're just going to hit right colors. Don't forget to make a backup first. You can also find the retail colors, blah, blah, blah. Per controller buttons cannot be changed. Are you sure you want to continue? Yes. Colors are written to the device. All right, now if we switch over to the actual switch. Okay, so now that we have the switch up and running, then if what I do is I slide my controller, my Joy-Con into the system, it should automatically pair. Ta-da! And now I have a blue Joy-Con. It's really not necessary in the grand scheme of things, but it is kind of nice for whenever you're just playing. And like, let's say that you're just switching controllers, for example. Yeah, it's just a nice touch for whenever you're changing your controllers. You pick them up. There we go. You see, it just kind of shows blue. And then whenever I do the other one, it'll show red as well. But it's a nice little detail, But just remember to back up your SPIs, guys. You do not want to accidentally mess that up. Because if you kill the firmware on the chip, then your Joy-Cons are basically dead. I haven't done it personally, so I can't tell you what the process is like for restoring that. I imagine it's not fun, or may not even be possible. Who knows? But yeah, if you guys like the video, be sure to hit the like button, leave me a comment down below, all that fun stuff. Links will be in the description for Joy-Con tool. And like I said earlier in the video, I am not comfortable with saying where I got these Joy-Cons from, just because gray market, don't really want to encourage that, but it was pretty easy to find. There's a NeoGAF thread about it, blah, blah, blah. So, with all that said, guys, thank you very much, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend.